as I said, basically this is just an exploratory kind of rehearsal for me and for you, just to get a sense of what's going on. I think most of the spacing will be fairly close, but not absolutely set in stone, and a lot of it, even in performance, will be still somewhat improvised. I'm going to get up here and talk to you from here. So, yeah, so I'm trying to leave it a lot of parts of it open so that I can, respond to the audience at the time. Hopefully there will be an audience. Hopefully better than the last time. But you never can tell. Did I tell you when I walked out on stage that last time, that Wednesday night, I said, oh my God, where are the people? Right. It's like, do I have to really do this? Right.
I'm just trying to throw the parking thing in again, the car.
No, that's not going to happen again. However, yeah, I will say there, it's in 3 parts, and each one is pretty much a distinct section, although the whole thing does kind of go together. The first piece, in a landscape, I'll be dressed in white, and what I was thinking was that, possibly there would be seasons involved, or could be harvesting season, winter, spring, and summer. I don't know. Depends on how. I'm trying to leave it open even today so that you get your own impressions, so that I'm not like force feeding you anything in particular, because that's why I figured we'd do it early enough so that you'd have some time for your unconscious mind to work on a little bit, rather than just having to throw something together, because you can always ask me questions. I don't know when you because I know you're doing a lot of other things between now and then. So anyway, basically, once I come on, I never leave the stage in any of these pieces. So that's the challenge, I suppose, to keep people interested. So hopefully the lights will, have enough variety in the music itself so that they can close their eyes, as Balanchine used to say. If you don't like the dancing, at least you'll appreciate the music. Right? Right, so appropriately or incidentally, the second piece, which is called Notturno, it has, I think, 10 sections, is it? I think 10 very short sections and different moods. And basically, that's a night piece, as it suggested. And if you remember the piece that we did over at Houston Met, An Anatomy of the Night, I mean, that was kind of where I started from, and then chiseled it down and changed it. And it still is kind of like one man's night, grieving. What is he grieving? The first piece by Steve Reich in that is definitely a reference to 9/11. That's why I said incidentally, since today is 9/11, coincidentally. So, but it's not about 9/11 necessarily. Although I myself was in New York on 9/11, working on 42nd Street, and I did have to walk home that day. I spent the entire day walking home, stopping at a couple bars, just to absorb the shock that everybody was going through, and walking over the Williamsburg Bridge. And it took me just about all day to walk from 42nd Street in New York to 42nd Street in Brooklyn, which is where I lived at the time. And so that's why it's kind of interesting that today is today. But I just mostly like the sound of the Steve Reich thing, and the kind of tension that it created. And And then, so they're different little short sections. So they, probably slightly different moods. And it's not all sadness. It's, it's an awakening too. There's sort of a narrative flow, hopefully, of, some kind of transcendence, which is kind of what I seem to do in every piece that I do. There, move from some kind of, try to have kind of that kind of quasi-narrative that moves from some negative place to some positive place. And the third piece, Dat Is Het, This Is It, is the one with the hard hat, and that one you'll get a sense of. And I don't know whether you can refer to your previous lighting, but the middle section is definitely, it's called Night Traffic, and I definitely would like to have a sense of traffic early in the piece. As the piece goes on, it moves into that transcendent state. And then at the end, the character, or he goes sort of back to where he was previously, but hopefully with a new sense of not resignation, but determination, whatever. And so there are 2 intermissions, hopefully just about 10 minutes each. We're serving food and, at this point, non-alcoholic beverages, unfortunately, because they still don't have the ability to serve alcoholic beverages. I know Kris likes to run out and get a drink.
How long is the performance, Farrell?
The performance, it's about an hour.
Okay.
Not in, a little less than an hour. It'll probably, if we start at 8:05, we should be out of here by 9:30, depending how long people stay afterwards. Okay. And you will be paid by the minute. No.
I don't care about that. I just was wondering
how long
the performance was.
Well, the sheet I gave you has the running time for each piece.
Okay.
And each piece is approximately 18 to 20 minutes long.
That's just right.
That's including the slideshow, though. And speaking of which, it'll seem kind of slow when we do this without the slides, but hopefully with the slides. There'll be about 50 to 60 slides for each prelude or overture or whatever you want to call it. And the purpose of the overture is to kind of set a tone that may be in relationship to the piece, or it may be juxtaposed to it. That's another thing that I'm working with a lot, is juxtaposition of things. So anyway, any questions at this point? Okay. So I'm just going to start this first piece in a landscape. And again, there will be slides. So there should be a slide up on the, when people come in. Mm-hmm. The house should open about 7:30. Okay. Well, but I guess we'll start at 5 after 8. And no latecomers. So we'll have a slide up, and then the slideshow will begin. I think we'll do the slideshow manually rather than automatically, just so you get a sense of.
Yeah, well, that's what we did last time.
Yeah.
It wasn't automatic.
No, but it can be automatic.
Really?
Yeah.
You tell me now.
Well, I didn't know how to do as much stuff. I didn't know how to do as much stuff then. Okay, so here.